This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast.
And we do a Storm of Light by the guy who did the Stormlight Archive.
So original. Oh my God.
Everything is stolen from the Wheel of Time.
There were no books before the Wheel of Time.
There were no books before the Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time is not based or a remix of anything else that came before it.
Nope. Completely original from one man's head. Absolutely.
I always think of Wheel of Time as being so good because it incorporates so many different myths and legends from so many different cultures and brings them together in a way that, like, you feel like you've read Wheel of Time. It feels like you've read all of those books.
Right. It's like, why work smart or why work hard when you can work smart? All the greatest artist copy, right?
Yeah, people like Wheel of Time's so long. It's 14 books. Why would I read so much? So you don't have to read anything else, right? Like, you're done. You're good. That's all. You've read those 14 books. You've read Western literature. You're good. Done.
Right? Yeah, totally. You've gotten a 101 level smattering of like the whole world of things. Like, you know something from every continent that people have been on at this point. Congratulations.
And so we start with a return to Ituralda and him, sort of this saga of defending the city outside, then getting let in, then defending the gates. The gates have been broken through, and now he's sort of in the city using it as this guerrilla warfare battlefield.
Now he's no longer focused on saving the city. Now he's focused on destroying the Trollocs as thoroughly and slowly as possible, using the city as an expendable resource. It's a completely different strategy, and it's much more of a war of attrition. He's losing a lot less people per encounter, but he's also literally destroying the thing that he was originally trying to defend.
And he's losing his people, right? There's no winning tactic here. It's just bleed them and last as long as you can until you're dead.
Yeah, this is literally, it's kind of like what the Blood Knives are doing, honestly, to, jump ahead to the next chapter. Like, the idea of the longer we can hold out and the more of the enemy we can kill, the more dearly our life was spent. And that is the point. We're not going to get out of this. We're simply going to destroy everything we can on the way out.
And then there's this moment where the palace is packed full of shadow spawn, and they put a bunch of oil in the basement and lighted a fire. And I'm like, okay, Cersei. Right,
right.
Is that dragon fire, right? Like, what? Basically, exactly out of. I feel like it's almost an homage to Game of Thrones. There, I mean, I don't. It's a little too far away, but it's close enough.
Well, in fairness, the Trollocs actually deserve to get dragon fired in a way that the citizens of King's Landing did not. But yeah, I mean, the idea of put all your enemies right over a bomb is classic. It's classic despotic warlord behavior.
And yeah, and I don't know what it is about this. Like, everything about Yoeli and the defense of the city. Like, if you remember in Mistborn, there's a point where the city is overrun. I think it's book 2 of the Mistborn trilogy.
Sounds right, maybe. The
destruction of that city and the description of it being overrun, and they had the Koloss come into that city, and this is the Trollocs, and like it feels like you could just one-to-one substitute, and the invasion of the city and the horrors that happened and the way they defend it and everything. Like, again, Sanderson, it might not be the same writing, but it certainly rhymes.
Yeah, when I read Mistborn Trilogy 1, the one time I read it, yeah, it did keep feeling like a collage of things I recognized from Wheel of Time. Like, cut up and put together a little bit differently, Trolloc, Koloss, so different words, such different words, obviously very different words. Also the same word, like, let's be honest, like, it has the exact same mouthfeel. Mm-hmm. So it's like orc and Trolloc. Like, yeah, they're different words, but they're the same word. You can feel the muse behind all of them. And yeah, this whole section, I hadn't really quite thought of it so much when I read it that time, but now you're saying it's like, oh yeah, he did. He really did. Just, okay, whatever. It's fine. It's a burned out city full of monsters. There's only so many ways to write that.
And I should say Mistborn was written first, right? Because Mistborn existed when he was picked to write this.
So this is a collage of Mistborn stuff.
Yeah, it feels that way. Yeah.
Except that I read them in the other order because I didn't read Mistborn until after he had done what I cared about with Wheel of Time. I'd never heard of Brandon Sanderson until Wheel of Time. So I read Mistborn after because I was like, oh, what's this guy done? And yeah, it felt like there was little bits and pieces of Wheel of Time. Now I'm learning that was an artifact of my order of exposure. But whatever. The point is the man knows how to recycle a good bit. And also a mediocre bit.
Because he had written at that time Elantris, the first Mistborn trilogy, and Warbreaker were his 5 books that existed when he was given the series. Now, he claims he wrote a bunch of books that he never published, because I think he was told in his career, right, your first 5 or 10 books suck, right? So he wrote 5 or 10 books, didn't publish them, and then tried to publish his 11th, is what he claims.
I mean, if he started writing in middle school, we're probably all better off not having read the first few.
I think it was more of a college age writing exercise, but yeah.
Probably the same logic applies.
And one of those books, right, Dragonsteel, is sort of the foundation for Mistborn and the origin story for how the god was killed and all the worlds came to be, right? So he wrote that story. I'm sure it's cringe and terrible and probably unpublishable. But I know he's gone back and I think he's rewritten it because it is the foundation of Stormlight Archive. So he does plan on publishing it, but I think it's got enough spoilers that he's waiting until he's pretty much done with the series, which is another 20 plus years.
I love that for him. I love that he just knows what he's doing with his life, and it's just continuing to make up worlds in his head and have other people get them distributed to masses of adoring fans. What a charmed life he must be getting to live.
I heard him say, he's like, I will never ever write everything I want to. That's not possible. However, I do have a plan to finish the series that I am writing, right? There's this, I do plan on, basically, I don't plan on doing a Rothfuss or a Martin.
Sure.
He didn't say that, but
he's going to do a Jordan.
Yeah, he's going to do, well, even Jordan didn't finish his books, though.
No, I'm saying he's going to keep writing until they nail shut his coffin. He's literally
for sure.
going to be writing. He's going to leave something unfinished. It might not be
of course he will.
But when he dies, he will be mid-project.
Of course, probably mid-5 projects, right?
Sure, yeah.
There's some people that never retire because what they do isn't work for them.
Precisely. It's the love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life thing. Speaking of not loving what they're doing, the Ashaman have been booted out of this battlefield. Mm-hmm. Aitaralda sent them away because they're a valuable resource. This is where we get the line about how they traveled to where the signal fires were lit and all they found was an abandoned camp.
What is going on there? Is that the people?
We talked about it before, and my hypothesis is that Dark Friends sent a false signal and killed everyone and hid the bodies. Or that the sister in question was a Dark Friend, and that was, they just left and went to do Dark Friendy things. But we don't actually ever get an answer as far as I know. Dark Friendery somehow, but the question is who and how, and it doesn't really matter, so it never gets revealed.
Right. Because I assume it's linked to the Lord who goes insane later.
No, I don't see why it would be. I think it's just Dark Friend plotting stuff.
Just because I'm throwing all Dark Friends into one big cookpot.
Yeah, no, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think either the sister who was leading the group was a Dark Friend, or they were ambushed by Dark Friends. Either way, there's no sign because mystery will keep them tied up longer.
And they're the last riders?
I don't know what. Yeah, it's the name of the company that was up there doing the watch or something. But it's just all the fortifications are being overrun. Aitaralda never believed that was a real signal. I don't believe it was a real signal either.
Interesting. He'd sent a scout through a gateway to the ridge where the last riders had been said to watch, but last riders is one word.
Yeah.
And I don't find any reference to that anywhere else.
Huh. That is weird.
All right, chapter 24. My own sister, Sigril, leads the last riders. Who's the sister of Yoeli? Yeah. Hey, I found the source of all the character names derived from readers' names. It's on the 13th depository.
Of course it is.
There is an article. And so I've been looking them up at Watt because it breaks down by chapter. But yeah, I'm going to drop this link in Discord. So, okay, I don't have any No idea what happened to her. Assuming, since she was the sister of the guy who was fighting for the city and died for the city, I'm going to assume she also was not a dark friend and was leading them and legitimately probably got ambushed and killed.
Yeah. Or like one of her subordinates was a dark friend and, like something happened and the bodies are stuffed under a bush somewhere. Or they were kidnapped and taken off to get, turned into murderal blades or something.
Ituralda's getting ready to, he hears another force coming in and is getting ready to ambush them. Plan number 6, whatever that happens to be.
Right. Yeah. They're going to do another one of their plans. And then why are they marching in unison?
Right. They're not Trollocs. So why don't they have hoofbeats? And it's like, because they all have feet, not hooves.
Because this is Bashir and an army that can retake the city. And Rand has finally come, essentially. Too little, too late. In a lot of respects.
To save the city.
But
yeah.
Nonetheless, here he is.
And in a lot of ways, the reason Bashir's troops have such an easy time of it is because Ituralda bloodied them so bad and hurt them so bad that they're like, oh, fuck, we're not dealing with a real force.
Right. They're like, we know we can win against these little rats. Oh, God, now there's mastiffs in the picture. Like, we cannot.
Meanwhile, those rat bites are infected and like causing you way more problems than you thought they would.
Right. Yeah. It is really cool that the simple presence of a fresh army is enough to shoo all the shadow spawn out of the city.
And I kind of like the interaction between Ituralda and Bashir. There's this like both generals who respect the hell out of each other. Two people who are very good at their job, who are willing to work together for a common goal and common.
They're both masters of their craft. They're
right,
from
right. The
countries,
same craft too.
Yeah, of the same craft. They are from countries that are sometimes allies and sometimes a little more standoffish. So they have to do all that 2 big dogs in a small room kind of thing. But also, Ituralda is running on literal magically enhanced borrowed fumes. And Bashir looks at him and goes, "You look like shit. Like, why are you not because Ituralda's literally going up the stairs thinking I just want to sleep and then I could talk to Bashir. But no, I got to be a general." And Bashir looks at him and goes, "Dude, you should take a nap before you talk to me." Like, wow.
And we see evidence of Ituralda's brain not working very well because he has that magically reduced tiredness. But even that's catching up with him, right? Like, he's beyond the point where he should have slept.
He says in the opening, he's like, "I'm going to just drop unconscious at some point without warning." And that's, yeah, exactly. Bashir looks at him and says, "You look like you're about to drop completely unconscious without warning."
Turkomun is the dark friend noble.
Yeah, he's a cousin of Bashir's, and Ituralda's not really sure if that means Bashir's going to be mad at him for everything. And he's like, "I didn't really like the guy anyway, and Yearly was a good man, and he died fighting, so I'm just going to take your word for it for the time being, and we'll deal with him later." Which I appreciate. I like, because you don't want to let personal feelings influence your judgment of people in this sort of respect too much, but also all the evidence, including your gut feeling, lines up. Yeah, he'll keep for a minute. It's fine. And we, of course, know he is a deep, dark friend, so it's extra fine.
So they set up a plan to basically distract the Trollocs while they flee the city, right? They're like, the city's too banged up, which Ituralda's like, "How dare you leave the city?" But I'm like, you already kind of trashed it, man. Like, there's nothing left. But
that's the thing, is it's like he's been clenched around this idea for so long. It takes a little bit of talking through it to be like, you're right. We have to, there's nothing to defend, right? Like, the point was to slow the Trollocs down. We've done that. Time to fall back to the next fallback point. That was the plan, right? Before they got stuck here helping Yearly, and now Yearly City is literally a burned out ruin. So let's bounce. And then a man says, "Oh, the Shadow Spawn have also brought a fresh army. The humans brought a fresh army. The Shadow Spawn brought a fresh army. This is going to be a problem. And maybe we can't leave. Oh no."
Mm-hmm. And later Rand says, he brought that army to hurt me, right? He knew this would hurt me. This was a tenacity that you people survived. You defied him. And so he brought these Trollocs to hurt me because you surviving gives me, hope and boosts the dragon.
Right. That man still fights. Right? Like, that's what this was. This was a whole band of brothers doing the refusing to be beaten, that man still fights thing that is what powers Rand through his final vision to defeat the Dark One at the actual battle when they're doing their, discourse duel.
So Rand shows up, apologizes for leaving him.
Yeah, he says, please tell me that Rand dealt with the Shanshan or made Allie with the Shanshan. And Rand says, yeah, I got to apologize for that and a bunch of other stuff.
And a bunch of other stuff.
Because kind of been failing at the whole savior thing.
We get a list of people who died who are all Crossroads of Twilight characters, as far as I can tell. They were introduced in the either the prologue or the epilogue in which Ituralde was in for Crossroads of Twilight.
Right. Good callback of just like all those characters that you thought maybe you can invest in and that would be part of his retinue. Like they've all fallen by the wayside. This is the last man standing from that original crop of characters that we wanted to care about.
So Rand gateways out to basically a place where he can see, right?
Yeah, Rand says, actually, I'm going to save this burnt out husk of a city because I'm tired of letting him hurt my people, which I'm like, okay, victim blaming yourself a bit much here. But yeah, Rand says, I'm going to go one-man army an entire tide of Trollocs, basically doing an Eye of the Worldism, an Eye of the World conclusion, but on purpose
without
this
the
time.
Power. Yeah.
Yeah, and knowing what he's doing.
And he says he doesn't have an Angreal. Does he have the Fat Man? Does he have...
I believe he's got the Fat Man again. I believe that's returned to his possession at this point.
Okay, I wasn't sure if he had anything in his possession or not.
I'm not totally sure, but I thought that he had found the fat little man.
Because he's not using Kalendor. He's destroyed the Choden Call.
Yeah, so it's just the little Buddha man, if anything.
And we get the gateway weirdness too, right? He's doing a short hop, so he doesn't have to know the area, I guess is how that...
Yeah, he just hops outside, basically. Like, he's like, oh, yeah, I want to go down there. I can see it from out of the window. I want to go over there. And so, yeah, there's no issue with the skimming, whatever.
That really does. He really starts abusing gateways in that way, where he's just like, oh, yeah, I can just, why go for a walk when I can just pop in, And remember in the beginning when they're like, well, we don't want a gateway inside of a city in case we kill somebody, so we have to walk for 5 days to make sure we're out the populated areas. And now he's like, yeah, I'm going to go over there.
Well, in fairness, there's no one over there. But yeah, he just like pops it open in the middle of the room, jumps through. He does leave it open long enough for his 2 maidens to come with him. He's not fighting that. He's like, yeah, obviously you're not going to do this fight for me. You are 2 maidens with spears. I'm going to go do a big magic battle, but we have an agreement. So yes, you can come guard my back. You'll have nothing to do, but you can guard my back.
It would be cool if the occasional Trolloc made it through, that they got to spear. I think that would be fun. If he let one through for him every once in a while, just so they had something to do.
Every 5 minutes, he's like, oh, you look bored. Let me let one through.
Here, kill a Trolloc.
Totally. He should have done that. That would have really carried. That would have earned him the most G. Extra credit for the maidens.
And so he does his storm of power.
And they started to die.
A light and streams of power. Now, and this is... How much of this is Nynaeve? Like, is he the storm that Nynaeve has always been seeing coming? Or is it the Dark One? That's always something I wonder about. I still think it's the Dark One.
I think it's the Dark One because this is a very positive storm for humanity. And Nynaeve is experiencing existential dread for humanity. But yeah, he goes out there and just lights up the sky, the earth, and everything in between. He's glowing to Ituralde's eyes. He's making the air just vibrate with sheer energy. I think even people who can't channel are like, there is something extra happening right now just in my bones.
And this is the glow of the light that Rand channels, right? Because often he's channeling Saidin or Saidar when he's, in a circle, or even later the true power. But every once in a while you get this mention of like he channeled the light, and it seems to be something that's both part of Saidin and also separate from it, maybe above it. It's the power of the creator that he seems to be able to tap into directly.
I don't think so. I think he's just using so much power that he literally is incandescent.
And I would argue because it is the power that drives the universe, he is in some ways tapping into the creator in that way, and he's using so much that he's manifesting like...
Yeah, I think it's like he's going above a certain threshold, and like you get like extra god powers or something when you can channel above that threshold. Like it's on another level. He's in a whole other tax bracket of god power.
Just because like there is that power he uses to light the pipe, right? And there is somehow this access he has, whether you can argue that's the light or not. And especially in the last battle, there's a lot of channeling of what feels like pure Saidin, pure Saidar, pure one power.
Yeah.
And that seems different than just the one power.
To which I say, sir, this is a hard magic system. Please stop fuzzing it. You're putting fuzziness on the hard magic system that Robert Jordan very carefully crafted, and I don't appreciate it.
But there's something different here, right? Because Takamak, whatever the fuck his name is.
Torquemine.
Yeah.
Dorkaman.
Torqueman. No level of channeling the one power would do to Dark Friends what seeing Rand would do to them.
Yeah, he goes all holy lighthouse or whatever.
So the light that they're seeing, and he's like, the light, it's not the one power. It's something else. That's where I'm coming at with that.
Yeah. And it feels like warmth to someone like Min, and it feels like a blinding light to someone like Wyraman or Torquemine, or their respective female partners. Yeah, it's just Rand never describes it as being like a third or secret fourth power or whatever. He's like, I'm just channeling, like you do.
Yeah, but I really do feel like he's tapping into a different level of that power. He's tapping into the pure power of the creator.
Yeah, well, and also he's able to skip past. There's no taint anymore, right? So it's like he's really reaching extremely new heights of what the power can be. He's unconstrained. He's unfettered.
In the same way that, like, he created a shield out of golden light to wrap around the taint in his brain, right? That golden wrapper that Nynaeve sees, right? That's made. It's not made out of sardine. She can see it.
That's true. Yeah. We keep getting stuff that people who are of the wrong gender or the wrong power alignment can see. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good argument, but I still think Sanderson's just putting fuzziness on a hard magic system, and I would rather he didn't. But you're right. I mean, you're right objectively about what's there canonically to connect the dots with.
The man seems to be glowing. A scream came from nearby within the building, one of the nearby rooms. We know that's Takamon getting eye fried.
Yeah, he's getting like blinded in his soul and then decides to stab his eyeballs out with a quill rather than, continue to see the light, even though he still sees the light because it's not the kind of light you see
physically with
your eyeballs. His wife makes the more smart decision, which is to just huck herself out the window and die. You can't perceive things if you have no nervous system activity. Ha
Right. Except then you're at the mercy of the Dark One.
Yeah, well, that was inevitable once you sold your soul.
I would rather try and survive the last battle so that he was locked away.
Yeah, I don't think Dark Friends think like that. Except for the ones that do.
Lanfear does.
Yeah, well, Lanfear's special.
And she didn't survive the last battle either.
No, obviously. Nobody in their right mind would claim that. Obviously.
No one would say otherwise.
No.
Not like Matt from the Dusty Wheel in the previous chapter. It's a rumor. If he says it, it's a rumor.
Precisely.
It can't be fact.
It's half the fun, being wrong.
And if the author says it, he should, say it better in the books.
Yeah. I don't accept 10-year retcons. Sorry, there's a statute of limitations.
Yeah, because that wasn't even like a little secret thing. That was just pure retconning.
Yeah, like, now,
yeah.
Perrin snapped her neck. Get over it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So it takes an hour. Rand goes out there and just absolutely goes at it with these 100,000 Trollocs or whatever and just Dumais wells them for an hour all by his lonesome. He's got ice, he's got fire, he's got lightning and water, and he's got
Death
everything,
yeah.
every trick in the book. And he does it for an hour straight. And then eventually they all stop and run away and he kills a bunch more and it's great. And he ultimately says, yeah, that was kind of dumb of me. I'm a little tired now. I can't fight off enemies if they show up. I shouldn't have done that. But it looked cool. But he really shouldn't have done that. It's a very impractical way to blow his load.
When I compare this to like the fight at the manor with the Ashaman, it to me really highlights the difference between Jordan's writing style and Sanderson's writing style. Because Sanderson is going to write a sword fight where I can see it in much more detail. I feel like Jordan did a better job of describing the fireworks, and the way that the Trollocs were torn apart was much more visceral in those scenes. This should be a much more impressive scene, and somehow it fades into the background of the conversation with Ituralda. He's like, oh yeah, hold my beer while I go nuke a Trolloc army. I'll be right back.
Hold my beer while I do a military engagement.
And it doesn't have the emotional impact that I feel like some of the last battles have had on me. And to such the point that like the first time I read this, I kind of skimmed over it and forgot that he torched a fucking army, which should be like eye of the world level impressive.
Well, but he tells you it was a masterwork. a terrible, destructive, wonderful masterwork. You don't need to actually see the masterwork. You just need him to tell you that it's a masterwork, and it's left as an exercise to the reader.
Right.
Because it's not, standing brutally on a roof lintel or doing a cool sword fight in midair with a burning stick in one hand. It's massive.
And it feels more like a checklist of like, he used clouds, he used water spouts, he used death gates. He used, there's this checklist of things he used, but no real visceral description of them.
Yeah. Fades into the background is a really good way of describing how this fight goes. It feels so massive and also like a really inconsequential side quest compared to the real conversation. It's so big. This is bigger than what he did at the end of Eye of the World. And it's literally a hold my beer mid-conversation at this point. Like, that's too OP. This Rand is too OP if that's what's happening.
Like Torquemon's tearing his eyes out is more interesting to me than Rand burning down tens of thousands of Trollocs.
Yeah, that does feel like a bit of a misfire on the writing front.
Talk about nerfing bad guys. Remember when one Trolloc was a big deal? Narg.
I know, right?
And now he's like, oh yeah, couple 10,000 Nargs, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's not that I think it's a bad battle, not that I'm like offended with the way it was written, or that I think it needed to be written differently, but I think adding more character emotional reaction around that would have paid it off better, because no one's really reacting to Rand blowing away an army. Also,
I am unclear on the fate of Maradon after this, and I feel like I shouldn't be.
Good point.
Do they all leave Who do they leave behind? Do they leave anyone behind? Do they still evacuate every single person from this burned out husk of a city? Because if that's what they do, there was no point.
It feels like Rand... Well, the point was that if they got past the city, they would decimate the rest of the countryside.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, you're right. Rand did literally murder like 50,000 Trollocs by himself that human men did not have to risk their lives to kill. Okay, that is true. That is fair.
And he also was like, they won't have this city. So they didn't get it, whether it can be rebuilt, whether anybody has it, or the residents. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they could rebuild.
Yeah, but not during the last battle. Like they're still all leaving, right? Bashir's like, oh, we got to leave right now. And Rand's like, no, I'm going to make it so we can leave in an hour. Like I feel like I shouldn't be confused and ambivalent and wondering what happened to the city after such an epic defense. I feel like it should be very clear to me from the, like you said, the emotional impact on the viewers, like on the people in the scene. That emotional impact should kind of tell me where the city's fate is gonna lie, instead of, and then they just POV switch to Min and that's the end of it.
Yeah, and Rand's back in the Stone of Tyr, right? He gateways back, and no real description of what's, and I assume, and Bashir and Alda and the rest of the armies are off to go fight in the last battle.
No, we hear them all coming in like on a lower level of the palace. They're gonna get taken care of, and yeah, it's like they still left the city. It's still gonna ultimately get taken by the next wave of army when it comes through.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if it comes, I mean, that's enough of a damage that they probably don't have any more troops anywhere near there. They probably had to gather everybody, because again, you can't gateway those Trollocs.
True.
Which is another thing. Where do you come up with this giant force of Trollocs, and how do you get them there?
Yeah, and if they were all there, then why is there a last battle to fight if Rand killed them all?
Well, not all of them, but yeah, certainly on the ones.
The magic mechanics of the bad guy minions are often very confusing.
And I should say, Maradon is the capital of Saldea.
Just the capital. Oh, I kind of spaced that.
I did too.
I knew it was a big city. I forgot it was the capital.
So I get the feeling it will be rebuilt, being the capital.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But I didn't get that. I thought it was more of an out-of-the-way little city. I didn't realize how big Maradon was.
So yeah, I mean, presumably, yeah, people will come back after the last battle. But again, it feels weird the way that we go back and forth in this chapter about, destroy the city, save the city, abandon the city, save the city, abandon the city.
Yeah, and no mentions to, like, Queen Tenobia was in that. Well, that was her palace, right? That they burned down.
Yeah, well, because she's down at Farmatting with the other Borderlander rulers doing the "Can we slap Rand silly" routine.
And in a lot of ways, that's Perrin and Zorene's palace.
Oh yeah, so they
Fa'il. Why did I say Zareen? Yeah, Fa'il.
yeah, no, so they might end up rebuilding that at some point mid-career. Be like, yeah, let's move up to Saldaea for a decade and put the capital back together.
No, this is literally like, yeah, this is probably where Fa'il grew up, and because they say Bashir, this is Bashir's home.
Wow, Fa'il's childhood home is currently a burned-out ruin.
Right, that got burned down by the, you know.
Oh, I had never even put that together. Again, we should have more of the emotional impact on the characters in this scene. We should have Bashir being like, well, I guess I'm not going to be taking my grandchildren to that like park at the center of the city because I saw it burned out on the way in or something. Huh. Wow. I cannot believe that I never put that together. Okay, there's a little more emotional juice to wring out of this than I thought. That's good. But it should have been a little bit more direct on the page.
On the page, yeah. Yeah, Bashir being like, my home city's burned down. Oh, well, thanks for doing your best. Like, it just doesn't ring quite true to me.
Yeah, there should have been more like, goddamn, I'm glad you saved one thing, but did you have to take down this? There should have been a little bit more, you know, wailing and gnashing of teeth on the part of the people coming to their home city.
Yeah, I can see Bashir like walking through an untouched garden in the middle of a blown out wreck and being like, this is where I proposed to my wife. Thank you for saving it. Like,
right. Or
the rest of my life has been burned the rest of my history is burned down, but at least I have this. You know,
or just like going through the whole meeting with just tears streaming down his face and like holding it together, but like just visibly completely destroyed.
Yeah.
We should not have been confused about this and needing a podcast to figure it out. That should have been slapping us in the face.
And some of it is he's like, it's my nephew is Torquemon, right? Like he does say he grew up here. Like there's a few things like that. But when I think he grew up there, I'm like, oh, it's the small town he grew up in, not the big city that he, you know, capital city. I didn't realize he grew up in the capital, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're right. There needed to be a little more emotional connection to this location.
Yeah, but Sanderson wanted to write Randolph Thor absolutely flattening an army by his lonesome with two maidens guarding his back. Sanderson wanted to write that, and everything else was just in service of supporting that scene, I guess. Oh well. POV switch?
POV switch to Min.
All right, so we're going to head over to Min, and she is studying stuff about Kalendor. She's doing the academic deep dive situation, and that she's feeling that Rand is angry, but she's a little bit like, whatever, I got to focus on my work. And then Rand stumbles in, you know, post Maradon, because that anger was his righteous fury, you know, wreaking vengeance on the Trollocs. That was the anger she felt. And now he is coming in to sort of, you know, process and be dirty and smoky and just kind of talk about it for a minute.
And I think they make a point of being like, he's still human, he still has emotions, he still gets angry. It's just how he deals with it that's different. Like it's not that Rand has changed into some Zen master where he never has emotions.
No, I really, really like the part where he says, I have a right to my anger, don't you see? Before I tried to hold it all hidden within. That was wrong. I must feel. I must hurt for the pains, the deaths, the losses. I have to cling to these things so I know why I'm fighting. And it's very Sanderson, it's very cliche, and it's what we've been screaming at Rand for the entire preceding, 10 books.
Right.
Like this is the revelation that he needed, which is that, emotions are not the problem. And this is what so many of us need to learn, is that emotions are not the problem. Having emotions is not a problem. It's processing through them and what you do with them. And in his case, sometimes you gotta, wield the power of a god to destroy like 50,000 evil monsters.
Because you're peeved,
slightly annoyed, feeling a little bit hurt. Fifi's got a little stepped on.
Oh, there's a prophecy line here I wanted to talk about. She read the line again. Light is held before the maw of the infinite void, and all that he is can be seized.
I don't remember this line.
I don't remember this line either. But it's foreshadowing, like Rand grabbing all three powers, standing before the infinite void that the attaches out of Shadar Haran, right? And when he does, he seizes the Dark One. And in that moment, he makes the choice to whether to kill him or imprison him, right?
Yeah. And he is also very vulnerable. They are locked into a death spiral like eagles or something. It's a really cool line. I just don't remember it.
It's kind of in passing.
How dare I not remember a line? I mean, I should remember every single line from these books, particularly the last three that I haven't read as
You
often.
do not know the last 3 books as well as the rest of the series.
Oh my God.
You have admitted that, yeah. But it's just, I think it's foreshadowing, right? That moment when he seizes the Dark One, right? Again, here's that light, right? It's not the one power, it's light that he's holding. This light seems to be something different.
All 3 powers together in one Terangrial person. Yeah.
And then the Maw of the Infinite Void, just the Dark One.
Yeah, pretty clear. So yeah, Min asks the maidens, what happened to Rand, and the maidens are super pro Rand at this point. They're like, yeah, he earned a lot of G. He worked himself a little bit too hard to show off because he's a young man who needs to show off, but he basically just did that badass warrior shit that we've been wanting him to do this whole time.
Here's a bit I don't really understand. She's like, why is it a bad thing that you fought here? And he goes, it came too close to a confrontation between us. That must happen at Shale Ghul and at the right time. I cannot afford to let him provoke me. Like, that I don't really understand. Like, why would fighting there cause a confrontation between him and the Dark One? Like, would the Dark One pop out? Like, I don't see how that him unleashing power like that can cause the confrontation early.
The best I can think is that he almost let himself get goaded into a life-draining amount of power usage in an effort to defeat the Dark One, and you can't do that unless you're close enough to the boar and doing all the magic other stuff to, like, have that work. But I feel like I don't think that the Dark One could pop through. I think it was just that Rand almost let himself get carried away to destroy the whole army. That's the best I got. I don't really I'm not totally satisfied with that. Nentalk's asking if it could be referring to the Nameless. Like, maybe if he, like, fought hard enough, then, like, whoever Nameless is going to show up and, like, curse smack him.
Maybe.
Because he does say, like, if an enemy showed up now, I wouldn't be able to defend myself. So, like, maybe it's like when he did the cleansing, right? It's a big beacon of power that lets his enemies know he's weak and available.
Yeah, although, I mean, he wasn't drawing that much power. His skill in destroying the Trollocs had more to do with the fact that he was weaving that many weaves, not so much how much. I mean, obviously there was a lot of power involved, but it really was just like, oh my God, he's weaving hundreds of weaves at once, which is crazy, which is a skill issue.
Yeah, so I really think it's just that Rand almost let himself get drawn into using so much power that he'd be, too vulnerable or knocked out for a week or something. But I don't know. I feel like he should have expounded on that threat slightly more.
And then he basically says, hey, I can't fight everywhere. Like, the battle's going to be all over the place. I can't be in all those places, which is kind of funny because then the last battle ends up being in one place anyway.
Well, it starts out on many places and then shrinks towards the middle over time. But yeah, he does basically, it's not even foreshadowing. He just basically tells us the last battles are going to be on you guys. I'm going to go do a big existential thing, but you guys have to, like, do the fighting of waves of Trollocs thing for months on end. That's not me. That's all you guys. Oh, and there's a little bit more about the prophecy. Have you ever wondered why Kalendor is so often called a fearful blade or the blade of ruin? And and the blade will bind him in twain.
By twain.
Oh, bind him by twain.
Right. By the two people, right? The Nynaeve and Moraine will bind. And him, in this case, is Ishamael.
Yeah.
Because he picks up the blade and they bind him. And then Fearful Blade or Blade of Ruin, I assume it's because it is a true power sangreal.
Yeah, it has a capacity that is very Dark One adjacent by definition.
So that's sort of where I think that Fearful or Blade of Ruin comes from.
And also, like, that's part of the flaw that makes it so that you can't control it unless you're in a triad with 2 women to do the thing. There's a lot wrong with it. That
there seems to be 2 different flaws, right? It's flawed in the whole, like, you have to be controlled by 2 women or it drives you insane, but also in that it can channel the true power. We never get confirmation that those are linked.
True. But I'm just saying, like, it's a pretty fearful blade when it brings down lightning on your side of the army really bad.
Right.
Like, that's a pretty fearful blade. Like, that's a bad weapon to bring in if it's going to turn into friendly fire, you know?
And again, because it's Sanderson, Blade of Ruin, his evil god in the Mistborn series was Ruin.
Yeah. So
Blade of
Sure,
Ruin.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a reference or not, but it could be.
it sounds cool, so why not?
It sounds cool. Yeah.
Yeah, the last thing we have for this chapter is Rand saying, okay, Eteralda, I know you want a nap. I know you want a nap. However, there is one more thing you need to see before you have yourself a 3-day lie down. So they go off down the hallway, walking and talking, get to Cadsuane.
The only other thing I want to say about Kalendor is she says, Rand, I think it might make you weak, open to attack if you use it. And later he's like, oh, yeah, that's about how I die. But later it's like, oh, that's how you give it to Moradin. And if he uses it. So that's where that key comes from, of letting him use it, because then he is open to attack when he does.
And in fairness, Rand is open and vulnerable to attack for a quick sec before he swaps it over to Moradin, right? There's this moment of trust is the wrong word, but mutual defense lowering in order to then do that switch with Moradin and have Moradin end up being, chained against his will. It's a cool move.
And that chain goes right back to the Dark One, because the Dark One has granted an open passage of true power to Moradin. And so that's how he's able to control the true power.
Yeah. There were also a bunch of names in this chapter that we didn't talk about if they were like fan names or not.
Which names?
Like some of the maidens, I think. Ivanasi, Ephaina. Oh, there's also a soldier named Vogler. I don't know. There were some names that seemed new to me. I didn't know if they were fan names or not.
Let me pull them up.
Vogler, we might have seen that one before, but I feel like the two maidens had to have been fan inserts.
Vogler is named for Eric Vogler, a fan of the Wheel of Time.
Oh, okay. Cool. Excellent.
Ephaina is named for Eva Snyder, a fan of the Wheel of Time.
Okay.
Ephaina is named for Ephaina Ebo, a fan of the Wheel of Time.
All right. Sweet.
And Ephaninwa, so Ifeiyinwa, so spelled a little differently.
Oh.
Interesting name. Eboh last name. Cool name.
Cool. Okay, well, I'm glad I brought that up.
Yep.
Yeah, those are the only names that I saw in that regard. And then, we just have this last cool interaction that's all heartwarming and nice, where Rand is polite to Cadsuane and Rodel Eteralda gets to reunite with his best bro, the king.
Mm-hmm. We find out that Matinus Stepaneos was not actually kidnapped by Grendel. He was actually being kidnapped by Elida and was stuck on the road this whole time. It's like when your package is like shipped, but just sits in the warehouse for 2 months. And you're like, what's going on? Why is it in Ohio? I don't know, but it's not arriving.
Right. And he has this line here. Grendel never had him. I didn't kill him. One innocent I assumed that I'd killed still lives. That's something. That's kind of like an inverse to that moral lesson that Morghese gave to Galad earlier. If here's one innocent man I know I executed. That's one black mark that I can point to. And Rand is basically doing the inverse. Well, there's one innocent person I thought I killed that I didn't. That is one point of hope. That's one point of positivity.
And I feel like Moraine's another one, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
So I think this should have more effect on him than it does in that way. Oh, well, I always think Moraine's survival should have more effect on him than it does.
Yeah, for sure. But this just felt like such an inverse of the Morghese thing.
Yeah,
that's
a good call. I like that.
It's because he knows it's something that Sanderson really wants to emphasize with Rand in these books is that like an individual life matters, an individual salvation matters, an individual being protected matters. Like just because you can't save everyone doesn't mean you shouldn't save someone. Like that's such a thing that Rand's ultimate revelation revolves around. And, it's kind of cool to see a couple different, sometimes you fuck up and sometimes you gloriously don't fuck up and both things happen.
And that's end of chapter 32, which brings us to chapter 33, A Good Soup. And we've got the Lion of Andor, because it's a Elaine chapter.
Yeah. It is still soup season. So I'm really a big fan of a good soup right now.
I made a potato leek soup, creamy potato soup yesterday, 2 days ago. It was really good.
Nice.
Turned out well.
Very nice.
Why is the soup from Camelin good?
Because Camelin has the sunlight over it. right? The unnatural sunlight, because Elaine is a nexus of Rand love, and so the food in Camelin is pretty good. So apparently there's a bit of staying power as those resources go out to other locations.
I would argue yes, and what other places have we seen food be fine and not spoiled? Perrin's army.
Oh, yeah.
And who else is stationed in Camelin? What other Taviran? Matt.
Oh, yeah.
Matt's in Camelin. And the food, like I almost think the Taviran might be the vectors by which Rand keeps the food from spoiling. Because Perrin's army has food that doesn't spoil. Matt in Camelin might be keeping the food from going bad.
I had never thought of that. I was just like, no, it's the power of love and also the gestating queen. But you're right. Matt is also in the same geographic proximity. And food and weather are not necessarily related. They definitely go together when Rand is in the picture. But that doesn't mean that that's true amongst his allies that get splinters of his effects. I also feel like, honestly, his strong connection to Egwene and Nynaeve should be giving Tar Valon just a general glow up in that regard.
Exactly, right? Like, why isn't Tar Valon? Why isn't Avienda creating that effect? Why isn't Min creating that effect, right? Like,
yeah,
it's the Taviran that secure the pattern against the Dark One's corruption.
Yeah. And Matt never really mentions food. No, he does mention being surprised at hearing about food spoiling because it just hasn't been an issue for his army. When he reconnects with the world,
I wonder
he's
why.
like, food spoiling. You guys must not know how to store food or whatever. Oh my God. Yeah, you're right, Nantuck. Get that power of friendship out of here. It's Taviran. I'm Taviraning over here.
Just a thought. I mean, I think if you want a headcanon that he gave Camelin a special blessing because his love lives there and it's the capital of the free world and all that kind of stuff, right? Like, there's a certain amount of Camelot, Camelin. It's a special place.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like the idea that it's the boys, though.
And it's where he came down, and Dragonmount's right there. Well, no, Dragonmount's right near Tar Valon. So if anything, right, he came down, he had his epiphany on Dragonmount and did the apples thing right near Tar Valon. So you would think Tar Valon would be in the light and be fine.
Right. Like, y'all are in the same zip code. Like, why?
But no, it's the food from Camelin because it's Taviran.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, I had never thought of that, but I actually do like that explanation that it's not the power of friendship or the power of love. It's just literally Taviran because the food spoiling is an odds balancing thing. The Taviran nature just is a natural counterbalance without big interpersonal epiphanies or anything. All right. Less satisfying, but more solid, if that makes sense. Because, yeah, it is weird otherwise, but okay. All right. So these boys just need to be on a constant rotation tour.
Just keeping the food. Well, it's just that everybody has to join their armies is basically what it boils down to. It's a recruitment tool. The pattern is recruiting for Matt, Rand, and Perrin by forcing you into their army because it's the only place the food isn't spoiling.
That's upsetting logic. But I don't think you're wrong. That annoys me.
Well, it's the Dark One can't do anything without helping the good guys, right? He's destroying the world and corrupting the food sources, but by doing that, he's forcing people to join the good guys' army, right? There's this, in a lot of ways, the reason Rand, Matt, and Perrin have been propelled to the front line, have gained the power they've gained, is because the Dark One has tried to take them out, has tried to, by making them a target, they've had to become stronger.
There's no lessons here that apply to the real world, kids. None at all.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Who joins an army without being economically depressed, starving, and or without options?
A handful of adrenaline seekers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There are definitely people who are just adrenaline junkies who think that it sounds like a really good way to get their fix. But yeah, as a bulk recruitment tool, hunger is doing all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
So basically the pattern is as bad as the U.S. government. That's what I'm getting out of this. And every other government, let's be real.
I feel like it's worse because the pattern's dealing with consequences of actions. The U.S. government's making a choice. Do you want to talk about how dangerous ice is at some point? And all that stuff?
Fucking Christ. Not right now. Not
right
in
now.
this moment. We are trying to get through the chapters. We will save that for its appropriate place at the end, where I will just scream into a pillow for 20 minutes.
just 20 minutes of this sound on the podcast.
Like literally. We're not burying our heads in the sand, guys. We're just taking a breather. Editing Aradia here to say that we didn't actually get to this week, but next week does very much have that content. Something about the White Cloak trial gets us thinking about all of this ice, etc. stuff, and we just run with it for a bit. Okay, so we're getting a report from Nynaeve about all the stuff that's been happening with Rand. Essentially, we're getting Egwene and Swan sort of up to Supergirl information speed, right? We're not going to be doing the, oh, well, he couldn't have done that. Oh, well, this is a rumor. Like, no, we're getting it from the horse's mouth. So that way we can all be on the same page.
Remember, ever since she got taken away at Winter's Heart,
right?
Actually, maybe the book before, right? End of Crossroads. Like, she's been with Rand for a big chunk of time. And yeah, I love the pushback, right? She calls Egwene out.
Go, girl, go.
Yeah. Where Egwene's like, the Asha'man are his responsibility. And you mean like the Aes Sedai are yours? The ones who beat and tortured and imprisoned him? And she's like, well, you take his side too much.
Right. It's like, well, I didn't own slaves, so I'm not responsible for giving back all of the ill-gotten gains. Like, that's literally what she says. Well, I inherited a little bit of guilt, I guess. But, like, really, you're just biased. Facts are biased. Science is biased. And freaking Swan is over there like, yeah, science is so biased. Like, Nynaeve is so in Rand's pocket. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, get out of the tower and touch grass. God.
Right. There's a reason Nynaeve and Moraine are the only two Aes Sedai he trusts to be in the cave with him. Because the only one's not corrupted by, like, even Egwene is completely corrupted by tower politics.
No, she is Ivory Tower through and through. She's a tool. She's an asset, but she's also a tool and a liability. And so they've got this interesting exchange here where they're talking about how Rand has changed, and Nynaeve and Egwene, confer on the Aiel say he's embraced death. And Egwene has this weird rejoinder where she's like, he didn't seem like he would need to destroy Natron Sparrow. Those inside would just follow him. And I'm like, they were brain wiped by compulsion. I don't know if Rand's Ta'veren compellingness on the poor, destitute wretches of an abandoned city are the same as Grandal's mind puppets.
There is a little bit of, he had to be hard because the circumstances forced him to be, and now, like, he's being nice and kind and everything's kind of working out for him.
But that wouldn't have worked with Natron Sparrow. It just wouldn't have.
No. And so there are circumstances, right? Like, I do feel like there's a little bit of writing the story so he can be this way. But then how much of that is Ta'verenness? How much of that is like because he's chosen, right, with the sacks of grain, right? How much is it because he's chosen to be good, those sacks of grain are good? How much is it because he's chosen to be nice, he's in circumstances where niceness helps?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in the most eloquent way, but you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And it's just weird that Egwene is like, well, this is clearly evidence. Like, I don't know. It's a weird example. Natron Sparrow is, I'm not saying that it was like he had a different choice or didn't have a different choice. It's just weird that she's like, well, the people there would have just followed him. He didn't have to kill them. Like, they didn't have minds to follow with.
Yeah.
There was nothing there for his
no
Ta'veren to work on. They'd all been hollowed out by Grandal. Anyway. So we move on to plans for drawing Missana out. We got a long conversation about the logistics of how we're going to induce Missana to be trapped in Tel'aran'rhiod and do all of that awesome battle in the tower stuff that they don't plan to have in the tower, or they plan to have in the tower. But anyway, Perrin interferes with it, all of that. This is a lot of conversation setting up the logistics for that. So,
and they're teaching Aes Sedai Dream Ter'angreal, and we had a line where those were created by Elaine, right? Because the original ones were all stolen.
Right, she sends Nicola and another accepted off to Camelin to pick up what Elaine has to deliver. And it's a whole big, she's like, that's when she's letting out the rumor that there's going to be Dream Ter'angreal for Aes Sedai to learn on. And yeah, she sends Blabbermouth accepted to do the pickup from Elaine. We never see Elaine do the manufacturing, but we do see that rumor creation seed getting going.
And so, and what they're going to do, she's seeing the Windfinders in one place,
And the wise ones in another place, and the Aes Sedai in a third. And she's like, if all of those groups are all meeting me in Teleran Riyadh that night, there is no way that Masana is not going to be slavering to know what's happening, which is absolutely drooling to be in Teleran Riyadh spying on them at that time, at that place.
And and I can't remember exactly how the plan is, but it all gets mussed up because of Perrin brings in the dream spike.
Yeah, it's we could try to reconstruct what they thought was going to happen, but since no plan survives contact with the enemy, it's sort of moot. Perrin comes crashing in, and then the rules are completely changed. And I believe the Windfinders basically bounce out of the battle pretty quickly because they're not super experienced, but the Yael stay, and the Aes Sedai, it's more of a mixed bag, depending on which ones are supposed to wake up and which ones are supposed to stay. But the Yael just stay and participate in the fight.
Well, of course.
Whereas the Windfinders are like, we are not qualified for this, we are leaving, goodbye. As I recall, that's what happens. We'll get there when we get there. I'm so excited.
Makes sense. The Windfinders have no idea how to use the World of Dreams.
Right, exactly. And it's the first rule of disaster management, don't make it worse. So leaving is not cowardly, it is pragmatic. And Egwene goes on her whole rant about how she's, not just the Amerlin, but the most valuable tool, and fighting Masana here is important enough to risk even her to do.
She's a tool, all right.
She is a tool. She is a tool. I love her, and I love her ambition, and I hate that she's a tool. Both things can coexist to me at the same time.
I did notice a line here that I hadn't picked up before. She says she's dreamed this, right? That might be why she's so set on setting up this trap the way she's setting it up, is she has dreamed how she's going to beat Masana. She's had this prophetic dream, and that's why she probably doesn't believe that there's the blood knives, right? She's very tunnel visioned on Masana, and I never really could figure out why, but it makes sense if she's had a dream that she's going to fight her in Teleran Riyadh. Oh, well, since I know there's an enemy, there's no reason to suspect there's other enemies hiding out in the White Tower.
Yeah, it's a very understandable blind spot when you literally have the answer that explains everything. Why would you look for further answers? I mean, this is the experience of, yeah, I'm autistic. Oh, I also have ADHD? Oh, I also have, like I've been going through this process a lot lately with my medical stuff, which I don't need to air on the podcast. But yeah, it's amazing how often one diagnosis is simply the opening salvo to a series of increasingly refined revelations. Yeah. So Egwene is not having that perspective. She is going with the first layer, and that's it.
Just because you're stupid doesn't mean you can't also be an asshole.
We contain multitudes.
We contain multitudes. Nice. We know it's after her testing because she doesn't have a braid anymore.
Oh yeah, Nynaeve is braidless and overly fascinated with the addition of the ring to her hand, right? Swan thinks kind of smugly, like, oh yeah, even though she's been claiming she's Aes Sedai and she's mad she had to take the test, she's also clearly very happy that she passed the test.
I am still unhappy that we didn't get to see the braid get burned off. She just comes out with the braid burned off. The braid was such an important character, and it didn't get a death scene. Pisses me off.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that a couple years ago when someone did a Idol parody about the braid, there was a line about the off-screen death and how rude that was. I'm pretty sure that was specifically referenced in that parody. Might have been this year. I don't remember. It's all a blur. Nynaeve suggests maybe bringing Rand into this fight. Maybe that would be helpful. And Egwene says, no, the fate of the world rests on this, but we don't need help from no stinking dragon reborn. We can do this ourselves.
And with that, we go to Perrin.
And with that, we POV switch to Perrin, who has done his Rocky training montage and is entering the POV at full tilt, crashing into his umpteenth nightmare in his training montage, and, breaks it apart and immediately complains to Hopper that it still took him a couple of minutes. It should have been faster.
Da-da-da, da-da. All right. Rocky music playing in the background, except take my bad singing and put actual Rocky music into the podcast right there. Perrin hit the nightmare running. The air bent around him in the city houses, this time of Cairhien flat top variety, disappeared. The road became soft beneath his feet, like mud, then turned to liquid. He splashed in the ocean. Water again, he thought with annoyance. Deep red lightning crashed in the sky, throwing waves of bloody light across the sea. Each burst revealed shadowed creatures lurking beneath the waves. Massive things, evil and sinuous in the spasming red light. People clung to the wreckage of what had once been a ship, screaming in terror and crying out for loved ones. Men on broken boards, women trying to hold their babies above the water as towering waves broke over them, dead bodies bobbing like sacks of grain. The things beneath the waves struck, snatching people from the surface and dragging them into the depths with splashes of fins and sparkling razor-sharp teeth. The water was soon bubbling red that didn't come from the lightning. Whoever had dreamed this particular nightmare had a singularly twisted imagination. Perrin refused to let himself be drawn in. He squelched his fear and did not swim for one of those planks. It isn't real, it isn't real, it isn't real!
Nice. Nice. I think that's going to be just so incongruous with the like upbeat rocky music and just this like twisted horrible scene. You know, I said in the last time we saw Perrin, he was doing his Rocky montage, and like here he is just like succeeding. Like this is a long scene. It's really visceral and intense and scary, but it ends with him going, "Damn, I haven't beat my own time yet." Like he's clearly done this so many times at this point.
The way he kind of transitions, it reminds me of like the magic eye things where you're like trying to look at it and like trying to focus and make that image pop out, and then like it does, and it happens right all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And like I kind of imagine him just practicing with the magic eye book. Like
Totally. It's kind of a matter of focus and yeah, but you know, this is your classic what you have to do in an actual nightmare, right? You have to wake yourself up, convince yourself this is a dream, I can manipulate it, I can choose to wake up. Like this is how you deal with nightmares. This is how I deal with nightmares and how a lot of people I talk to deal with nightmares. Being able to control it and tell it, no, I know what's happening, I know this is a dream, is how you break dreams. So he does that. He does that very effectively, and Sanderson writes it in a beautifully visceral, visual way. There's this one line, "Around him the nightmare bent, a bubble of reality pressing out from him. Dark air, cold waves, screaming people ran together like wet paint." So visual, so gloriously like this is good dream writing. Sanderson's ability to paint a picture works really well when you're describing an actual magic nightmare.
Yes. And then I like the exchange between him and Hopper where he's like, "I just started," and Hopper's like, "You've been coming here for years." And he's like, "But I just seriously started training." And Hopper's like, "Doesn't mean you weren't learning anything." And I think we have said that so many times. Like it feels ridiculous that this is when he starts training, even though he's been doing stuff with Hopper for years.
Yeah. But I mean, he's right. He's been resisting the education up until a few weeks ago, and now he's leaning in. That is a different thing. I also like that Perrin's like measuring himself against nightmares, saying, "Well, Slayer's gonna be worse than this. Slayer's gonna be faster." And Popper's like, "Nah, I mean, honestly, Slayer's not as strong as a nightmare, dude." And we see in the actual fight between them that Slayer has been very good at avoiding nightmares, and that's what actually gives Perrin an edge, is that Perrin trains on nightmares and Slayer trains on avoiding nightmares. So I do think that it's, you know, it's like if you tell someone what the world record is for a thing, they will beat it, right? Kind of regardless.
Right.
Like we used to think that like a 6-minute mile was impossible or something like that because people just hadn't done it yet. I feel like Perrin's kind of deliberately playing with that dynamic for himself, being like, okay, if I set myself up to be able to beat literal nightmares, then the lone man of Slayer should be a little bit underpowered for what I'm worried about. Well, that rules, Vuji. That's awesome. Mine usually just as soon as I start to get slightly lucid, the dream breaks and I wake up. So
what I hate is this. I've had sleep paralysis where you're trying to wake up and you're fighting it and you cannot.
I've had that happen 3 times and I remember all of them very distinctly, and it is the fucking worst.
It's terrifying. And it's the one place where I'm like, I'm actually terrified and I don't know why. Like you're in this, like you're in a terror state that you wake up into. And it's crazy because you're like, I don't have a reason for this.
And not being able to move, like really not being able to move is like, okay, now I'm starting to get a good reason to be afraid. Like, am I ever going to be able to wake up again? Like, what is wrong? No, I hate sleep paralysis. I'm so glad it's happened to me so few times.
It's what I imagine locked-in syndrome is like, except forever.
Right. One assumes that there are states of being comatose that have elements of that because we know so little about comas. I'm like, I'm just going to map this on to the great unknown of what comas are like and assume that this is part of it for some people because it's you can imagine just being stuck there forever.
For me, whenever I have sleep paralysis, in my head, I'm screaming help as loud as I can, and I'm not making any noise. And I've had a couple of people, my wife said, basically, it's only happened like once or twice since I've known her. But basically, I was like, "Oh, did you hear anything?" She's like, "Yeah, you were totally silent, and then you jerked violently, and you said help, and then you were awake."
Once it finally gets out.
Because but it's like in my head, I've been doing that for minutes.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
Sucks. Yeah. If you don't have it, consider yourself blessed. It's very unpleasant.
There's some really good like Renaissance era paintings of sleep paralysis that are just like, yeah, if I believed in demons, that is exactly how I would envision this experience.
No, I mean, there's so many things in our life that are explained by science that if I didn't know what it was, I would think I was being haunted or possessed or
Absolutely.
Something was coming for me. Yeah.
Yeah, science as a candle in the dark is really real.
Even just our own brains, right? The way we hear our own voice in our head, a lot of people attributed that to gods talking to them.
Right. Yeah, and understanding how a hallucination can manifest like mechanically and be like, oh, like this is what happens when like my hearing is damaged versus when like my auditory processing part of my brain is confused. And like it takes a lot of knowing about how the human body and brain work to be like, oh, I think I just misheard you versus no, the sound was so garbled I heard something else entirely.
I hallucinate music in our window box fan all the time if there's no other noise going on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, fans, it's so easy to just hear like a repeating half bar. And eventually, finally, your conscious brain is like, I've been hearing that half bar for the last 30 minutes. I don't think this is music. I think this is actually white noise.
Oh, no, for me, it's not. I don't hear a half bar. I hear a whole song playing in the background.
Oh.
Like my mind hallucinates music. Like
Wow.
I'm not hearing like a repeated, like I hear music where I'm like, is that playing on the radio somewhere far away?
Yeah, no, I feel like that for like a good long while. And eventually I realized that it's been the same music the whole time.
Mm-hmm,
and then I'm like, there's no song that's 30 minutes long. That's not. Or like being near a train that is slowing down or where the rails are really screechy, but especially if they're putting on the brakes, the different high screaming overtones can turn into music real easy if you're at the right distance. If you're too close to it, it just hurts. But if you're the right distance away, it will turn into this like violin symphony quite easily, at least in my head.
Which, I mean, yeah, it's vibrations, right? Like that's all a violin is just noise and vibrations. It's just tuned a little differently.
Right, yeah. And some music is just math. Like chords.
Well, all music is math, really.
Well, yeah, but like, I mean,
everything's math.
Everything's math. It's true. Everything's math. I'm just saying, it's like music isn't just in the eye of the beholder, right? Sometimes things that are mathematically imprecise and not quote unquote correct sound beautiful to us because our brains are silly little monkeys. But like some music is just math. There's no need to be creative about it. So if you just have random noise, sometimes you'll get music because math.
One of the most impressive groups of people that I ever encountered were music and physics dual majors.
Oh, yeah.
Like those people, one, they operate on a whole different level of art and intuitive science. And second of all, both of those things take an insane amount of time. And to do both of them at the same time, you have no life. Like people joke about engineers being busy in college. And it's like, yeah, like the two hardest majors, at least the college I went to, were engineering and music. And so the dual majors in those they were insane people. They were absolutely insane people. And some of the most talented group of people I've ever met.
Yeah, all the musicians I know, and I know a lot of musicians because my mom is one. Most of them didn't go to school for music, but man, music takes a lot of time. It's just like one way or another, music is such an all-encompassing thing to do. Like to imagine applying that in an academic context while also being an engineering student, that seems like a lot. That seems like a lot.
And the reason I know about those people is purely by reputation, because you never saw them at a social function.
Sure. You got to meet my friend sometime if he ever comes out of the cave, which he won't.
Yeah, they won't. Yeah. They won't.
Yeah. How did we get onto music is math and engineering?
We were avoiding talking about Gawyn.
Oh.
Oh.
I didn't even realize that that's where we were.
That's what's the
my
next thing.
subconscious was really working hard to protect me on that one.
Because I don't have anything else with Perrin. Just they do the training montage, and then he's like, let's go do another one, right? It's like another rep.
The only thing else that I had in that was just the note that the Teleron Riyadh wolves are running as packs to Dragon Mount rather than shifting there. And I think that's interesting that and Perrin actually in the page before, he walks over to Hopper rather than shifting across the street to get to him. He's like, it feels right to do some things normally. And I feel like that's what all the wolves in the dream are doing. They're like, no, we need to gather and commute to the battle. We can't just think ourselves there. It doesn't feel right.
A religious pilgrimage, if you will, to the last battle.
Yes, the pilgrimage is part of the process.
Right? Like, people don't fly. Yeah, you're supposed to walk to that area, right?
Yes, totally. But yeah, that's all I have for that. And then, yeah, we have to get to a Gawyn section that... There's a lot of...
Are you going to say it's slightly less annoying than normal? Because I'm going to have to push back on that one.
I was almost going to say that, and then I realized that that's not true. There's something different about this section. I think it's because Elaine features so heavily in it. We're not just in Gawyn's head. We're actually really getting a lot of him talking to someone for the bulk of the thing. But the Gawyn-Elaine banter feels like something that should be charming and witty, and instead is just kind of immature and grating, if that makes sense.
It's like when you visit your family and you revert back to being a 12-year-old and you have the same stupid arguments that you had with your siblings and parents when you were 12.
Yeah, it's like that. And I feel like Sanderson wrote it to be not that, but he failed. Maybe that's just me projecting too much, but I wanted to like Gawyn actually talking his problems out with Elaine. I really wanted, hey, the parties are communicating. They're talking directly. This should be good. This should be redeeming. And it just isn't.
Because this is what he should be doing, right? He should be being like, you're right. I'm done with Egwene. I should be your first prince. I don't care. I appreciate that you're not giving me an obligation to be the captain commander. But you know what? Egwene doesn't want me. I need to be my own man. Maybe if I can establish myself as a power here in Camelin, I'll be somebody she's interested in.
Right, maybe I should return to what I was going to do my whole life and find myself in the thing that I knew I was. Yeah.
I'm also going to harp on not harp, but I'm also going to bring up, of course, the Gawyn compulsion theory. Right, that he's been compelled to follow the Amyrlin seat, and that's why he has a lot of unclear answers as to why he hasn't shown up to be the commander, right? Because he was supposed to be, and he was compelled not to, and so he kind of has to justify it in his own head in the way that Morghese has to justify that she loved Gabrielle.
Right.
In her own head, right? You have these I don't really know why I didn't show up, but I just didn't feel like I could do it. I was entangled, right? This idea that maybe he didn't have free will in this situation. And only once Egwene, once Egwene becomes the Amyrlin, he can obey her and he can do things, he can basically gain back some free will because she's the Amyrlin, in quotes, that he now has to obey.
Yeah.
Or if he was supposed to obey Elida, she's gone, right? So he can't do anything he can't follow her lead if the compulsion was specific to Elida.
Right. And then Elaine also digs into his hate of Rand and manages to dig down to it's just jealousy. And I almost want that to be compulsion based too, because I just don't get jealousy. I just don't get it. It'd be easier to explain it as magic. But yeah, no, that seems different. That doesn't seem like it's related at all. Gawyn is just a spoiled little princeling who's jealous of a sheep herder doing a better job. But also, part of the reason that Gawyn's doing such a shit job is because of the compulsion. So maybe some of his anger at Rand is misplaced anger at the woman who compelled him to ruin his life. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, she basically says, yes, I'm pregnant by Rand. I wouldn't tell you if I was, but I am, right? He feels sick about that. And she's like, listen, he didn't kill our mother. She disappeared long before Rand showed up. A bunch of people say it, right? And obviously he wouldn't do it. You know, and then on the other hand, like, Gawyn's he's causing the roses to bloom. Oh, well, no man can cause the roses to bloom. Well, except for one.
The dragon is
Reborn,
one
who's
with
magic.
the land. Right. This is not secret knowledge. This is like a prophecy and shit. You're educated. So then they're walking through the garden, right? Gawyn shows up at this rooftop garden thing, or not the rooftop garden, but the inner garden. The garden where they met Rand, coincidentally. And they go over to the pond, and we get truly an obnoxious amount of exposition on the pond incident that's been being referred to throughout the books many, many times. And I have a couple of critiques.
Okay.
I mean, one, it's just this is taking a lot of the magic out of things. Have you ever heard of the noodle incident as like a trope structure thing?
No.
It's a reference to Calvin and Hobbes. Calvin and Hobbes, they reference the noodle incident many, many times, and there's never a panel about it. There is no strip with the noodle incident, but it's a thing that they can reference. And so it's part of this like world building, right? That the noodle incident is a thing that you never saw, but does influence the characters. And so I remember watching an OSP video, Overly Sarcastic Productions video, about that as kind of like a trope archetype. And this is taking a noodle incident and explaining it. And it's like, you just popped the bubble and took the magic out. And the magic is that Elaine selfishly endangered Gawyn because she was a brat and never understood that Gawyn literally almost died and Galad had to save him. And then Gawyn's been carrying the blame for being knocked into the water because they were two little kids playing and it was just an accident. And it's like this whole shaping part of his personality. And Elaine has no fucking idea how much she influenced him. Like, this is the worst way you could ruin a noodle incident.
Yeah. It's very Attack of the Clones, right? Like, that was a reference in the original Star Wars where he's like, your father fought in the Clone Wars, right? And you're like, okay, cool reference. What are the Clone Wars? I don't know. I don't care, but it's cool, right? And then they made a fucking movie about it.
There we go.
And
there
every
we go.
detail
Yeah.
ruins it, right? Yeah. And this is very much like he's doing an Attack of the Clone Wars here. Or it's like the noodle. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the Clone Wars and the noodle incident are this different ways of saying the same thing as far as this shape.
Right. Well, here's the thing. The noodle incident, they never showed you, right?
Right. Okay. So the Clone Wars is what happens when you fuck up a noodle incident. Okay.
When you fuck up a noodle incident, yeah.
Okay. I'll put the OSP video in the show notes just in case anyone's like really annoyed at me saying noodle incident 1,000 times.
You fuck up a noodle incident, you get a Clone Wars, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I find this to be frustrating on a lot of different levels. And the fact that like literally Elaine basically accidentally almost, seriously hurt her brother, and then Galad like got mad at Gawyn for I don't know. So Gawyn and Elaine in a little rowboat on a little pond that doesn't even justify a rowboat, continuing to talk about Gawyn's purpose in life and Egwene.
So in particular, I want to talk about why he couldn't join her and what he says about why he couldn't join her. She says, I worried about you during the siege. I could have used you in the fighting, but you stayed away. I explained that, Elaine. I was embroiled in the White Tower politics, not to mention the winter snows. It burns me that I couldn't help, but those women had their fingers on me.
Yeah, it's so weaselly.
Those women had their fingers on me. Maybe like with the one power, maybe with compulsion, right? This idea that like I couldn't join you because I was being manipulated. Yeah,
and it's like, but like what? Like what blackmail did they have over you? Like what are you? Yeah, it's so weak of an excuse once he's finally like on the spot.
And then he says, "You're one of the good ones," which is always a nice racist thing to say.
Yeah, I hate all of them except you because I know you. Ew.
Yeah. And then, anyway, you're right. I should have been there. I don't know what other apologies you expect me to make, though. Right? He acknowledges I should have been there, and he doesn't really know why he couldn't make it. And to me, again, I feel like this is his brain working around compulsion.
Yeah, I mean, either that or it's a terrible writing choice, and Sanderson is trying to massage it around into something that the fans can get behind. I like compulsion better.
And I apologize to everyone who's sick of me hearing this argument, but you're going to hear me bring it up every time there's evidence, because otherwise I just can't get through the Gawyn sections. I find him being this annoying on his own to be just insufferably boring and stupid.
Yeah. So he has not been moping. He's been pondering. And he finally gets an explanation for why Brigida doesn't like him. And it's because she thinks that he should be taking her job, and she doesn't want her job.
Captain General. No. And again, why isn't he? Why isn't he stepping up and doing things? I think it's because he knows he has to return. I think the compulsion is pulling on him.
Yeah, his devotion to Egwene, magical or otherwise, is such that he's here to punish her. He's not here to find a new life. He's not actually trying to find himself or discover who he is. He's just there to punish her.
Oh my God. I never really thought about it that way, but you're right. It is just because it's like when you're fighting with someone and you say, go away, and they say, fine. And they like take a flight across the country and take a week vacation in San Francisco. And you're like, not what I meant. Like,
right. Yeah. And he's also stomping off to his room and waiting for her to come to him, apologizing and asking for him to please take her back. Right. He's folded arms, face in the corner. Like, he's waiting for her to come to him. Right. The only reason he doesn't go back to her at the end of this chapter is because when she comes to him, it's this, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way kind of bullshit. And, in Sylviana's voice and all that, but like he's just waiting for her to come to him. He has no desire to pick up the pieces of his life and discover who he is without her.
All right, I have to read this out loud. Light-blinded fool, that's great. I'll buy into the Gawyn compulsion theory if we also agree the compulsion was removed, like Nynaeve did with Curb, leaving only remnants of a brain. Oh, perfect. I'm going with it. I'm going with it. It was removed when Grendel, she took off and removed the compulsion from him when she, like, I don't know.
You know what? I don't even care. It's fine.
I don't even care. Maybe Masana took it off at some point because it was Masana. Like after, it was on him during the rebellion for a while. And then Masana was like, let's go kill him. Send him out to go die. I'll take the compulsion off of him.
And it wasn't super heavy like it was with Curb, because Curb was completely hollowed out to be a complete automaton. Gawyn was just tweaked a little bit. So.
Right. It just gave him some minor significant brain damage.
Yeah, but like, he still has his language centers and his ability to ride a horse, right? He was not like literally dying as like a gibbering idiot. He would have been pretty enough for Grendel. He's too stupid for Grendel, though.
He's powerful. She doesn't care about smarts. She cares about power and looks.
That's true, because she installs whatever she wants. And yes, she should have taken Gawyn. That would have been an amazing, horrifying scene for Rand to like see Gawyn in the crowd of people right before, the balefire hits or something like that. Like, and some evidence that like Gawyn was there, and he's like, no, I could have saved him, right? Something.
Or Gawyn and Galad. Galad's even prettier, right? He's the pretty one.
Yeah. He's less powerful, though, but he's prettier. So
is he? I don't know. He's leader of the White Cloaks. That's leader of an army that rules a nation, basically.
Well, I was thinking several books ago, like back when she would have snatched them up, like he's the not even spare, saved on compulsion. We used to, like there's an economy in this economy. Gotta save that shit. Oh my God.
But okay, yeah, back to my theory. Elaine says, oh, Gawyn, what happened to you? He was compelled.
Yeah.
Like, that's a personality change, right? Like, and his says, Bryn thinks I was too accustomed to succeeding, and I don't know how to react when things started to upend on me. Fine, that's a pretty, if you want to be like, okay, yeah, everything, he's a golden boy. Essentially, he breezed through high school without doing any homework, right? And then he got to college and things were actually hard. You could say that was his problem.
That's what Bryn thinks is his problem.
But Egwene says, and what do you think? He doesn't answer. He says, I think it's good for me to be here. But he doesn't say anything about what went wrong because he was compelled.
And his mind just skips over it. Yeah. The farther we get into this, the more Sanderson tries to dig Gawyn out, the more evidence he gives us for compulsion being the only explanation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I fully understand there's nothing hard about that, right? That's not probably what the authors had in mind when they were writing these scenes. I understand that. I don't care.
No, I don't care either. I don't care with you. So Elaine tries really hard to give Gawyn relationship advice, that I have armies full of men who are willing to die for me. What I need is a man who will do the dishes without being asked.
Right.
And Gawyn's like, that sounds like some woke feminist bullshit, and I'm not really sure I can accept that sort of an impingement on my personal freedoms. Is like literally how it reads. Literally, she says, can you be a supportive partner that doesn't need a list to do basic housework? And he says, wow, slavery much?
Yeah. No, and it is. It's you need a partner, which is not someone who, like, I have people who I can. That's something I think both when planning the wedding and WatCon that I found was very true. I don't need someone to say, what can I do for you? Because by the time I tell you what I need, come up with it, describe it to you, communicate that with you, answer your questions, it would have been faster for me to do it myself. What I need for you to do is figure out what I need, do it, and then present me with a finished product. Right? And it's as someone who's offered my services many times by saying, tell me what you can do, it's a real rude awakening to realize. And I think even in doing the podcast in the beginning, there was a lot of people when the podcast was growing and taking off who were like, what can I do? Right? And I don't know. I don't know what you can do, right? I don't know who you are. I don't know what you know. But radio was like, I can correct you.
That's true. It's true.
And that's why she's the co-host now, right? Like, yeah. And that's the sort of the energy that, like, the people who got involved in the podcast often came to me and just said, like, here's what I can do for you. And I said, go for it. The people who said, let me know what I can do, I said, well, can you do this? And oftentimes the answer would be, oh, no, I don't have those skills, or, oh, I don't have that time. And I'd be like, well, then it's going to take me more work to come up with something for you to do.
Yeah. Even with I struggle with this so much. I'm really bad at delegating. Like, even with my Autistic Stuff for Autistic People podcast, I've got my co-host over there saying, I want to help you with publishing. And I'm just like, I don't even know how to separate myself from this task.
8 pages left in this Gawyn POV.
My God.
Jesus Christ, really?
Oh my God. Okay, we got this. We got this.
We got this.
So, do we need to talk about Elaine doing deconstructive therapy on Gawyn's jealousy of Rand? Or did I already cover that?
Oh my God, yeah. Like, he didn't kill him. I've got evidence. You hate him. This isn't about Mother.
Yeah, I hate what he's become. A tyrant.
You mean a ruler? You mean like a hero? You mean like a good guy?
He's a sheep
right?
herder.
Like,
what right does he have to cast down thrones?
And there it is.
There we go.
And there it
Fucking
is.
classist ass bullshit.
All the way down. Yeah. And we have a anchor for Gawyn's jealousy of Rand that has never made any sense to us. Why he's believed the rumors, why he doesn't like it. He's an uppity, no good, red-headed farmer who thinks that he can rule. I am the blood of Morghese. I am a Tricant. I am a king bred. I should be ruling. And he thinks he can. Meanwhile, I'm stuck out in the middle of a swamp killing my friends, and he's becoming the hero. Now, no mention of all the suffering he's gone through in that time. No idea what Rand's gone through to get where he is. He's just had an easy ride on to being a hero. Like,
no sense of we've both been fucked over by Aes Sedai. There's tons of things that you guys have in common being screwed over by Elida and her ilk. But no, none of that is relevant.
You both have the same brother.
You literally saw him get kidnapped and tortured. It's really nice when someone finally reveals who they really are. Oh, Gawyn is like, racist, essentially. He's a classist, eugenicist. He's racist. He thinks he's better than other people because of his breeding.
Or at least that's how Sanderson's writing him. But yeah, I mean, why else? How else do you explain his attitudes, right, towards Rand?
Oh, Vuji's putting it the best. He's a salty princeling who wanted to be the hero. That is the way. He's a salty princeling. That's the efficient way to say it.
Now, if you want to crouch this in the compulsion argument, which I always will, he is compelled to hate Rand, and he has to therefore justify it some way in his own head. And so this is not normally something he would think or say, but because he has no other way to justify his hatred, and he has to justify it in his own head because that's how our brains work, right? If you do a thing, you have to justify it. They've done studies.
Yeah. He really is leaving a lot of reasons on the table by not getting mad at that man for touching his sister.
That's true. Yeah.
There's a lot of rage on the table he's not taking advantage of.
I think there's a little bit of like, yeah, but Elaine wanted to touch him, and I'm not controlling that.
I mean,
like she's crazy. Like
fair.
that's where he definitely thinks to himself like, oh, I can't believe, but Elaine is the kind of person who would. So like he immediately is like, yeah, that's Elaine's bag.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, so Elaine gives him a very good rejoinder, which is that's not jealousy, it's selfishness. You want to kill this man because you have weird brain pretzels? Like, what does that do for the rest of the world? You literally want to be... He thinks he's the hero, and he wants to single-handedly destroy the world's chance to survive. Like, that is literally anti-hero, sir. So Elaine calls him out.
Yeah, but he never changes that attitude. That's why he dies. He thinks he's the hero. He thinks he can take out the general of the enemy, the one who's devastated, who's got the power, who is devastating armies. He thinks he can personally go up against this guy.
Yeah.
He thinks he's the hero.
Yeah, he's completely selfish. He would risk the world. He would risk a Gawyn. He would risk everything to satisfy his ego and feel like a special boy.
I do think it's fun, though, that we would probably all be more like Gawyn than Rand if we were in this story.
I mean, sure.
Like, I'm the hero. And then it turned out, no, you're really not.
I mean, we hate that which we see reflected about ourselves. We would all love to be Rand, but we all probably would be more like Gawyn. And he is well paired to Egwene in the way that, Elaine reads them both. Egwene needs you. She may not realize it. She may be convinced she needs to hold up the world herself. She's wrong. Same can be said for Gawyn. He thinks he can save the world with a few sword swings. Egwene thinks she can save the world with a few weaves. They are well matched in that regard. You can go have hubris together, fly too close to the sun together.
That's true. The difference is Egwene does save the world with a weave.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, their track records are different.
The balefire, he loses. She stops the balefire from destroying the planet.
Would she have had the inspiration and depth of feeling necessary to do that weave if she hadn't just lost her husband toward her?
Yes, because she does it in small quantities beforehand. It's not like she discovers the weave in that moment.
Yeah, but she discovered it 5 minutes prior, and then she uses it to take out what's-his-face?
Yeah.
I don't think she would have taken out what's-his-face if she wasn't all sad.
No. Yeah, I'm not. We can debate it when we get to that scene, right? But I don't think there was a need to kill herself in that moment to win.
Yeah, probably not. Elaine absolves him of his responsibilities. He feels cast off by another woman and unsettled by it. And then they part ways. He feels better. He goes strolling off through the gardens, being like, well, Elaine's optimism is still nice to be around, even if she made me feel weird with the whole being absolved of responsibilities. Basically, he hates not having a strong woman tell him what to do, even though he also hates having a strong woman tell him what to do. The
paradox of man.
He wants to have direction. He's like, no, don't give me no responsibilities, but also you can't tell me what to do. You're just a woman. He's really in a complicated little brain pretzel of his own making at this point.
He wants to be told what to do. He just doesn't want anyone see him being told what to do.
Which is just get over yourself. I mean, I get it. He's in his early 20s. I had not gotten over myself at that point, but get over yourself. It's the end of the world.
Yeah, and even here, all right, more compulsion evidence. Talking about Elaine, she seemed to grow more regal by the day. It was like watching a flower bloom. He wished he'd been in Camelin to view the process from the start. And why wasn't he? Because he couldn't be. Because he was compelled.
Yep.
Again, like Blinded Fool, the Gawyn hate's great. By the way, Gawyn does have a Warder record. Fastest replacement time.
Oof.
Because all the other ones grieved. Gawyn was like, I don't need to grieve. Give me another one.
I mean, that lasted for 3 days, but yeah.
I know. Which is sad because I 100%, now we've talked about this, but I think Llewellyn would have been a better warder to Egwene from the beginning. And I think it would have been cool to never see her bond Gawyn.
Yeah, it would have been cool if he'd come back and she's like, I have a stern-faced Shan-Chan woman. And also here's her pirate husband.
Right. Go help your sister.
Yeah, basically. Shoo. Then Gawyn does this really hilarious moment where he absolves Althor of his mutual hatred. He's like, you know what? We're done now. I mean, like, what does he say? We're done. From now on, I care nothing for you. Rand's like, who are you?
Yeah, exactly. That meme.
Yeah, I mean, technically, Rand does know who he is,
you.
but yes, I never think
Right.
about you at all.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what that is. But it makes Gawyn feel better. You know, it calms down that, incipient ulcer that he was working on. Light planted fool, you are full of piss and vinegar today. Is it possible Gawyn can also channel and compulse himself? No, we know channeling doesn't work that way.
No. Don't think you can. It's like you can't heal yourself. I don't think you can compel yourself.
You can't heal yourself. You can't tickle yourself. You probably can't compel yourself. But if anyone can, it would be Broken Bane Gawyn. Maybe he's like got like multiple personalities, and they have like the different brainwave layouts.
It is canon that Galad can channel, right? So maybe it was Galad did something to him. One of his early, No,
he tried to make Gawyn always do what is right. He wanted it really, really bad, and then Gawyn ended up with a very weird form of compulsion where he has to follow the strongest, like, authority figure who claims authority over him, and anytime someone doesn't claim authority over him, he gets really upset. Yeah. He's just convinced he's the hero. He's just really, every morning in the mirror, he's telling himself that, like, this is his day to save the world, and he's just convinced of it.
So as he's walking along, he pulls out his Shan Chan assassin dagger to play with in front of a Shan Chan who's, a Suldam, former Suldam.
No, this is a former Damani.
This is former Damani, that's right.
We start with a former Damani who gives him a clue, and then we dig deeper with a former Suldam.
Former Suldam, that's right.
And she's being walked by the kin, right? The kin are sort of on the edges of this. He doesn't really understand who they are, but he notices this woman who I think is probably also a fan name. What is it? Damana?
Let's look it up. She's been around since the Path of Daggers.
Okay, cool. So she's just a member of the kin. So she's doing the thing where like they're walking around these women trying to get them used to their freedom. And recognizes the knife in Gawyn's hand because she saw one hanging on a wall once, in one of her owners' homes. And so Gawyn gets his first clues about the knife.
Morel is the one who's Demina is the kin, and she's walking Morel, who's the former Suldam.
Ah, yes. Is Morel a fan name?
Or sorry, former Damane. Sorry, Morel is not
Mirel. Marel, obviously.
Morel. She's been around since Winter's Heart. So this is bringing forward that group of people who was taken out of
Ebudar? They didn't take Shan Chan with them though that time. Rand sent the Shan Chan to Elaine.
That's right.
Those he captured during the campaign where he lightninged his own troops. I forget which country that was in.
Right. Just it was against the Shan Chan forces as they advanced. It doesn't really matter what country it was in. It was
Yeah, and he was capturing those pairs and he just sent them onto Elaine.
That's right.
It was Ilion, yeah.
That's right.
And Elaine was like, why do you keep sending me these? I don't know what to do with them. And now her plan is to train them to talk about the fact that that the Shan Chan are using women who can channel as respected members of society as well as
Suldam,
slaves. And that's going to crumble everything. So that's where these women are coming from. But like you said, the kinswomen have been with Elaine since the flight from Ebudar. He was warring with them all. It was the second time Rand went to serious war with the Shan Chan, and the time that he lightninged his own troops.
As opposed to the first time, which was just using the horn.
Right, exactly. So he gets basically the Wikipedia summary of what a blood knife is. He gets the name, the little like propaganda slogan for what they are. But this is fundamentally a low-level grunt who was never given a formal education in things. And the kinswomen are like, we have a Suldam who was of the low blood. She was educated. She does come from the other side of that ignorance veil that this former Damani is behind. So we can go deeper into this than Wikipedia summary. We can click the hyperlink. We just have to go get this weird woman who we don't totally trust.
And she's got this weird, because she's accepted that she can channel, but still believes in the Shan Chan hierarchy, and so thinks she should be made Damane. What she's missing is the fact that all the Suldam need to be made Damane, and then you don't have any Suldam left.
Right, yeah. She's mid-brain pretzel in a thing that does not actually have sustainable internal consistency. But, that's where she's at. And this is Gawyn's first proof of the fact that he's right, that there's multiple threats at Egwene, right? This is him, because he learns about the fact that these are suicide troops.
Yes.
Finally, my suspicion that there's something other than Masana going on here has real concrete evidence. And
Kaisi is named for Jennifer Kaiser, a fan of the Wheel of Time.
Nice. But yeah, she is, she's kind of like Morghese when she first went incognito. Or like when Elaine is trying to go incognito, and like the bows feel mocking to people who are used to getting bowed to. And she's just a whole different category of Shan Chan than a former Damane. This is a former Suldam. And yeah, the whole thing was like she wants to maybe learn the weave so she can cause an accident to justify getting leashed. And she's like, Gawyn offers to try to get her leashed, and that's what gets her to cooperate. Like she's in a weird way.
She's damaged. She hates herself, right?
Yes.
Yes. It's like a racist finding out they have an ancestor of the race they hate,
right.
Like a direct
right.
ancestor,
yeah.
Or multiple direct ancestors. And it's like, oh, I'm terrible. And it's like, well, no, but you believe that the category you're now in is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you have people who are of a specific marginalization join a hate group that's like against their own marginalization. It's like, what are you doing? This doesn't make sense. But self-hatred,
log cabin Republicans, here we come.
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing.
Yeah. It is. It's like a Republican coming out as gay, but still believing that gay people shouldn't be able to marry each other. Right, and there are those people. There are those people out there. Who,
hey, Barry Weiss, what's up? Yeah, it's. I mean, there was so many examples across every hate group you could ever pick. Yeah, it's really self-hate is. It does give a certain kind of dopamine to direct that hate at yourself, I guess, but it's really corrosive. It's really, really corrosive.
Like Blinded Fool, I do like that map because it does have it labels all the unclaimed land and shows you where the actual claimed countries are.
Oh, that's a good map.
Yeah, and so it's really helpful to realize how much of the world is basically empty.
And it's not necessarily uninhabited, right? Those unclaimed places still have people in them.
Yes, some of them.
Yeah, like there's areas that are less, but yeah. Oh, that's a much better map than just, oh, that's really good.
And it sort of helps you understand, like, why Farmading is in the middle of nowhere, why Tarvalin's in the middle of nowhere, right? Like,
right.
And that Andor, despite being big, isn't that much bigger than Carian. It's just sort of elongated. It's kind of like Chile.
Yeah, it is. Huh. Wow, that's a really interesting perspective on the Randland continent map.
Especially if you consider like the west half of Andor is basically untouched. Then you see how small Andor actually is.
Right. Yeah, there's outposts that Andor claims going out that way, but that's a lot of unclaimed territory as well.
Yeah.
Wow. That just puts a whole new perspective on how people are on the continent and how they move around and what the travel limitations are on people. This is not a well done map visually, but it's so information rich, like with what I know, like compared to the, beautiful blown up version I have on the wall from the books.
But information rich in that it is very simple, and that gives you information that you don't get on any other map.
Right. Its simplicity is its strength.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Who made this?
I don't know. I've seen it a handful of times before.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Just on the Reddit, I think. The subreddit people have brought it up, but I don't know where it came from.
Well, whoever made it, congrats to you. This is a really cool map. I'll put it in show notes or something.
But yeah, new perspective on how much of the land is just completely unclaimed.
Yeah. Almost half of the continent is white and unclaimed if you add it all up.
And really, the western half of the continent is just Kyrien's really the only thing over there.
Eastern,
thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's a Reddit post to go with this. Excellent. So that's what I'll put in the show notes is the Reddit post. But yeah, totally. The farther east you go, it just becomes Kyrian. And then even Kyrian is like thinning out into just basically a buffer around the road that leads to the Dragon Wall.
And then you got a little bit of Tyr in the north and Shinar in the north, Tyr in the south, right? But those kind of...
But huge amounts of unclaimed land between those and Kyrian on both sides. Wow. I could just stare at that forever thinking about all the politics of Randland that I know about. Wow, that's really... I'm with Fuji. How have I never seen this map?
It looks like it was created 4 years ago by TGB Kinger in the subreddit.
Wow. Well, TGB Kinger, thank you very much for making that map. My mind has been blown today.
And he started with a blank map from the Atlas of Ice and Fire.
That's a really good website for maps and stuff. They've got like 3D planets of the world and everything.
So he took one of their blank maps and then he's like, I have no editing skills, but let's see.
Good enough for government. Good enough for getting the point across. I mean, it looks amateurish, but that doesn't detract from what it's trying to say.
Mm-mm.
I mean, yes, technically the nations are claiming much larger areas, but this is a more realistic representation of what's actually inhabited.
This is what's described as what they actually control, right? As opposed to what they are on the map, in quotes.
Right. Because they're going to claim big historic boundaries. And, you can see from how unclaimed this land is that it would be easy for them to get away with it if no other country is claiming it.
Right, yeah, like Ilion claims up a bunch more land than that. It like extends up and it's like, no, you really just don't have access to that.
Yeah, like the western half of Andor is definitely fading out. Like the Two Rivers, you could argue, is kind of unclaimed. They still have economic ties to Andor, but they haven't seen Queensmen in generations, right? Like, is that really claimed,
Yeah, I really do feel like you could wall that off around Westbridge and just say like, Old Manetheren.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, Altara is kind of bigger than it really should be, given how Tylan describes the limits of her range.
Oh, yeah. Almost all of Altara is just basically should be unclaimed as well.
There's people who call themselves Altarans, but like same with like Mirandy, right? Like lots of people in Mirandy call themselves relative to their city rather than to the nation of Mirandy, unless there's someone who attacks them, right? I think Altara is kind of the same way. Giladon has a really like rapid turnover on its throne.
Yeah, that whole area is almost it just because it's so small and together, I think is why it's claimed, right? It's like there's enough people living there that call themselves Mirandians or Altarans. That even though the city doesn't have a lot of control over it.
Yeah, but that area between Andor, Giladon, Mirandy that is on this map Altara, like that's probably like those parts of I'm totally spacing the name right now, but those parts of Europe, like between France and Germany, that have switched back and forth so many times that it's really its own kind of thing.
I'm thinking it's mountainous.
Probably. I'm looking at the map. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically all mountains on the map.
Yeah. So there's probably totally people that live up there that just really have no truck with any of those four nations, even though they are, according to this map, in Altara. They're probably kind of their own thing.
Yeah, because there's sort of a ridge of mountains between Altara and Amadisia. Sorry, that ridge of mountains actually follows the... Yeah. So there's a ridge of mountains that goes south from Emmons Field that follows the border between Giladon and Altara. So that splits there. And then between them, there's like a valley, and then there's a whole bunch of mountains on the other side that kind of make up Mirandy. Mirandy feels like a very mountainous area. And so there's this kind of valley between Giladon and Mirandy.
Wonder how much like Appalachia that topography is.
Yeah, it feels like it'd be very rural. And then like you come, and the top of that is the forest that they can't get through.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that there are some hollers up there that, the Queen's Guards do not go into.
Yeah. Sorry, Giladon, or how would you say it?
Gildon?
Gildon?
Yeah, exactly, Vuji. Totally Holy Roman Empire kind of thing.
Gildon? So you think it should be two syllables, Gildon versus Giladon?
The audiobooks can't make up their minds, so it's definitely a go with God kind of situation on this one.
I do definitely three syllables. Gil, like ghoul, because there's an A in between it, and then Dan or Dawn.
Yeah, I prefer the three syllables, but I've definitely accidentally done two syllables before.
In the same way that I don't really like Mogadeen, I like Mogedian.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like Asmodine. I like Asmodian. I don't like Gildan. I like Giladon.
Yeah.
I'll always add in an extra syllable.
Yeah, because we fancy.
Gialadon, not Giladon. Okay.
Gialdon, Giladon, Galden, Galden.
Oh, I guess I was reading the spelling on the page, on the actual page, Gildon. It is Gialdon. Yeah, that's a tough one. I probably do pronounce it wrong just because the audiobooks.
Blame Michael and Kay.
I will.
All right, you want to try to finish this damn chapter?
No, not really.
Come on. We got this. So we have Gawyn saying, "Oh, this assassin's not doing a great job, just killing a couple every few days. We only got to wait for a month because this Zamani or former Suldam talks about their blood will turn against them. It'll kill them within a month, if not sooner. We'll kill them within a month, perhaps much sooner." Gawyn says, "So we just gotta wait them out." And she says, "No. There's gonna be a big thing before they die. Like they will not just nibble it. These are all tests. Every one of these murders is a test." Stress testing a different part of the system. There will be a lot more death before these people die.
And I feel like this is the best information we get about the blood knives, right? They will live about a month, but they also don't rest, right? They're not taking their rings off.
Yeah.
I think we've speculated, right? Like how long are they living, right? But she says once they are given a duty, they do not rest from it.
But not resting from it might still mean taking the rings off because you need to wait for time to pass and you need to extend your life in order for the plan to work.
Maybe. I have the feeling that that's not something they would do. That once you are given this ring by the Empress, you put it on. The practicality doesn't really play into it because it's Shan Chan and it's formality, right? The idea is once this is on, you don't stop. You are given the ability from the Empress, and it's not like you take the ring off and otherwise the ring becomes the ability if you can take it on and off.
That's a really good point with the way the Shan Chan psychology works. And they talk a little bit about the strategy of fighting a blood knife. The more light you create, the more shadows there are, which, ultimately he figures out the trick means you have to fight in total darkness because then all things are even. Their advantage is neutralized if no one can see anything.
And if there are more of them, the more you can swing anywhere.
Right. Yeah. And she says, "Count yourself fortunate to have survived fighting a blood knife. You must not have been his or her true target. It would be prudent to hide yourself until a month has passed. Allow the Empress to accomplish her will and bless the omens that you were given enough warning to escape and live." Which is, I like how sinister that is. You shouldn't have survived that encounter, but you did. Get out while you can. Meanwhile, we know that Gawyn is... He is so many inconsistent and erratic things, but we know he is running headlong into danger. If there is a way to get himself killed by not avoiding these guys, he's going to take it.
He also survived because of skill, right? That is one thing we have to give him is he is an incredibly skilled swordsman. He is probably top 5 in the world at this point.
Right, and the Blood Knives didn't go head to head with him, right? They tried to kill him as they made their escape from the scene. So his incredible skill allowed him to survive the encounter because they were actively trying to get away from him at the time. Like Plentiful, take off the ring, Gawynum.
Yeah, now my precious.
Yeah, big time.
I'm going to get 3.
Oh my God.
And yeah, him with the 3 rings. That's why it's he's got a month with just 1 ring all the time. But what about 3 rings that he takes on and off? Who knows? And
then there's this other line here where he thinks the target was Egwene, obviously. Why else would the Shan Chan expend such a powerful weapon? Egwene factored 0% into them sending blood knives into the tower. When the Shan Chan decided to send blood knives in, it was just to kill Marath Damani. It had 0% to do with internal tower politics.
I do think the blood knives are trained to take out the highest ranking, right? So I do think that they probably will try and take her out because she is the Emerald seat, and that does the most damage.
Yes, but that's not why they were deployed. That's something that they figured out on the ground once they'd already been deployed. The Shan Chan didn't choose to take down Egwene as part of the point of the raid. That's something that they had to figure out in country. And yeah, then he stands there thinking, it doesn't matter how angry she is at me, I have to give her this information. And then he gets a snarky note from Sylviana and completely changes his mind because he is just a salty, moody child.
Yeah.
He sends information back with the messenger, but he was about to go back himself until Sylviana pissed him off.
Yeah. The Amerlin was thoroughly displeased to discover your departure. You were never instructed to leave the city. She has asked me to send this missive, explaining that you have been given ample time to idle in Camelin. Your presence is required in Tarvalin, and you are to return with all haste. Now, none of that was actually said by her, right? That's just Sylviana interpreting it.
Yeah, this is why I say, like, this note is in Sylviana's voice. You really, like, Egwene did not editorialize to that degree. That is a Sylviana editorialization.
Now, the reply never makes it.
No, that's right. He sends the knife and a verbal warning, and the messenger is found dead, I believe, once the dust has settled.
I looked into it, and I just found him not... I didn't see anything about that, so I may have missed it.
But she does say the messenger never arrived. She does, in fact, never receive this information, and
She never receives this information, whether they're found dead or not.
I want to say that they find the messenger dead, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, he gives the messenger verbal instructions. They're not written, and the knife. And yeah, it doesn't make it to her, so she's not able to take appropriate precautions. Because he's so mad that he can't just go himself.
Yeah, so in Towers of Midnight, chapter 38, she wakes up, realizes Gawyn is, stabbed, and she never gets a message from him or anything, right? So she thinks she never got that message. Let's see if there's anything. Towers of Midnight, chapter 35. Sylviana reports to Gawyn, there is no news from Gawyn. I don't have any more information on that I can find.
All right, well, we'll find it when it's out there, if it's out there or not. But yeah, he's a salty little bitch and says that she can just deal without him for a while and leaves her to her own devices. And that is, at long goddamn last, the end of this chapter.
Towers of Midnight, chapter 42. Egwene had no warning because Gawyn's messenger was killed.
Who killed the messenger?
So let me just go to Towers of Midnight, chapter 42 really quick. Sorry, I know this is a bit of a divergent at the end of a very long recording.
That's an important question to answer, though.
Mm-hmm. Should we play the Jeopardy music?
Oh, someone aside just posted a quote. Oh, it isn't a named character who kills him, but rather one of the Blood Knives carrying out the attack who ambushes and kills the messenger before he can deliver Gawyn's reply. I guess that makes sense. Maybe the Blood Knife spots a blood knife on a message tray and is like, well, that can't be good for me.
It might have worked. I was anticipating the Black Aja, or maybe a gray man. I sent a warning. The messenger has been found dead as well, she item. You did the right thing tonight, but it still has me worried.
Okay. They did their best, but Gawyn still survived. It's true.
And it's implied that because the tower guards were all killed by the assassins, right? And it's implied that since she says your messenger was found dead as well, it's implied they were killed in the same way.
Sure.
So you can imply killed by the blood knives.
Works for me.
But I think that brings us to the end of the chapter, right? Is there anything else?
No, that was... I thought I had... How did I not have one more note? I'm tired of Gawyn. I'm over it. Editing Aradia back again to say that I finally remembered that my last note for this chapter was that the bed incident that was edited out of an earlier Elaine chapter was referenced here as a bed, not a litter. So that's the second instance of them fumbling that entirely unexplained and unjustified alteration.
But yeah, we essentially got an information dump about the blood knives, except we knew all the information already because we were told what the blood knives were. So now Gawyn knows. And he has to get that information back to Egwene.
Well, no, we didn't know a lot of the stuff about the blood knives, right? Like, we didn't know, like, the mechanics of how long the rings worked and stuff. We knew they were assassins.
No. They knew they were assassins, and we knew they didn't survive the assassination attempt.
Yes.
So I guess this is a good exposition dump.
Yeah. It was almost sufferable, but because it was Gawyn, it was still insufferable.
Slightly annoying, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think with that, one of our longer recordings at 2.5 hours should come to a conclusion.
That was a lot of tangents.
There's a lot of tangents and a lot of pages. Thank you very much for joining us on that journey, the long one that it was. But yeah, I got way more out of the recording than I got out of the chapters, if that makes sense.
It's funny when that happens. Like, there's nothing here, but like we had so many like tangents that like they weren't all bad tangents. Like, this is still going to be a long episode even after I cut out all the bad tangents. It's still going to be a lot of really interesting things that we did find to pick out of it. Not the good writing per se, but there was lots of things that were interesting to talk about.
100%.
But yeah, with that, let us say goodnight to everyone. We will see you next week.
See you next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Please rate and review us on your podcast app, and consider supporting us on Patreon for ad-free episodes. What Spoilers is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.